November 15, 1942, 6:47 a.m. Richmond Shipyard No. 2, San Francisco Bay. A cold Pacific wind whips across the mudflats. The clang of hammers and the hiss of welding torches never stops, even at dawn. Floodlights still burn white-hot against the fog. Men in wool caps and leather aprons move like ghosts between half-born holes. And then it happens. A single acetylene torch sparks, flares, and the first steel plate of a new keel drops onto the ways. The clock starts, officially. 4 days, 15 hours, and 30 minutes until launch. That's the promise. No one believes it. Not the foreman, not the Navy inspectors, not even most of the workers swinging the hammers. But one man does. Richard Woodley, lead welder. Burn scars crisscrossing his forearms like railroad tracks. Stands on the scaffolding and watches the plate hit the blocks. He pulls a crumpled scrap of paper from his overalls, his upside-down drawings, the ones the engineers laughed at 6 months ago. He smiles, just a little, because today the laughing stops. Section 1. The ocean was eating ships faster than America could build them. Imagine this. Every week in 1942, German U-boats are sending 20, 30, sometimes 40 Allied ships to the bottom. Cold numbers on a clipboard in Washington become screams in the North Atlantic. Merchant sailors burn alive in oil slicks. Convoys arrive half-empty. Britain is down to weeks of food. President Roosevelt slams his fist on the desk. We need ships. Henry. Ships yesterday. Henry J. Kaiser. Big. Brash. A construction man who has never built a ship in his life gets the call. He has 7 shipyards now, spitting out hulls at a pace the old maritime families call reckless. Average time from keel to splash, 230 days. Still not enough. Kaiser walks the ways at night, cigarette glowing, staring at cranes that sit idle half the day while men wait for the next plate. He knows the bottleneck isn't steel, it's gravity, it's tradition, it's the sacred way shipwrights have done it since the Phoenicians. Then Richard Woodley steps out of the darkness. He's a welder, not an engineer, no degree, just 10 years of burning steel and listening to it talk. He hands Kaiser a coffee-stained sketch. Boss, he says, voice rough from arc smoke, what if we stop fighting the sky? The drawing shows an entire bow section built completely upside down, on the ground, floors where the deck should be, keel in the air like a dead whale. Then flip the whole damn thing with cranes and drop it onto the hull. Kaiser stares, then he laughs, then he stops laughing, because it just might work. Across the yard, the night shift clocks out and the day shift clocks in, never knowing the rules are about to shatter. In Washington, the Maritime Commission bets a bottle of good bourbon it can't be done in under 40 days. In Richmond, welders start sharpening their rods. The war has given America an impossible deadline. One welder just decided to beat it by 225 days, and on November 15th, the stopwatch is already running. The yard that never slept. Midnight, November 12, 1942, 3 days before the keel of the mystery ship even touches the ways. Floodlights blaze so bright the gulls circle like it's daylight. The air smells of hot rivets, wet concrete, and coffee strong enough to wake the dead. A big band swings from loudspeakers bolted to the cranes. Glenn Miller, 24 hours a day, because Kaiser believes tired men work faster to a beat. Richard Woodley hasn't been home in 9 days. His wife thinks he's dead or divorced. He sleeps in 30-minute bursts on a stack of blueprints under a workbench. Beard growing wild, eyes red from the arc. Every time he closes them he sees the same vision. A 10,000-ton hull rising out of the ground like a steel phoenix. The yard workers have started calling the still secret ship Kaiser's Folly. Bets are scrawled on the cafeteria wall. 60 days, 2 packs of Luckies. 30 days, a fifth of bourbon. Under 10 days, the guy quits smoking forever. Nobody bets on 4, but something is already different. Out on the prefabrication pads, concrete slabs the size of football fields. Gangs usually build small pieces. A bulkhead here, a flat of deck there. Tonight, entire sections are taking shape. Massive, wrong side up. You can almost feel the ground tremble as cranes swing 90-ton. Ton of upside-down bow through the fog. Welders lie on their backs beneath it. Rods sparking upward, showering the night with molten rain. Gravity used to be the enemy. Now it's the accomplice. Henry Kaiser walks the line at 2 a.m. with a bullhorn. Any man who thinks this can't be done, clock out right now. No hard feelings. The rest of you, we're going to war against time itself. A cheer rolls across the yard like thunder. The next morning, Navy captains arrive in crisp blues to inspect. They watch a complete double-bottom section, 140 feet long, get flipped right side up in one smooth lift. Their jaws actually drop. One whispers, "My God, they're building her like she's a damned model kit." Word leaks. Reporters swarm the gates. Kaiser bans cameras, but the rumor mill explodes. The new ship already has a name picked out in Washington, SS Robert E. Peary, after the Arctic explorer who never accepted impossible. The ship that will prove America can outbuild the world. Back inside, Richard Woodley is everywhere at once. He's on the scaffolding screaming at a crane operator. He's crawling through a ventilator trunk with a tape measure. He's got grease in his hair and hope in his eyes. And then the first crisis hits. At 4:17 p.m., November 14th, T-minus 38 hours to launch. The main traveling gantry crane, the one that has to lift the final midsection, throws a gear. A tooth the size of a man's fist shears clean off. The whole yard freezes. 10,000 men stand silent. You can hear the gulls again. Day 1, the keel drops and hell breaks loose. November 15th, 1942, 6:47 a.m. sharp. The foghorn on the Mare Island ferry moans across the bay. Just as the first 38-ton keel plate swings over the blocks, 10,000 10,000 people are watching now. Welders hanging off scaffolding like monkeys. Reporters crammed against the fence. Even a newsreel crew. Kaiser finally allowed in. The plate hovers 1 inch, 2 inches, then it kisses the wood blocks with a clang that rattles teeth. Stopwatches snap open in a dozen navy pockets. Day 1 has begun. Richard Woodley is already soaked in sweat even though the temperature is barely 40 degrees. He's wearing a pair of cracked welding goggles pushed up on his forehead and a grin that hasn't left his face since yesterday's crippled crane stunt. He raises one scarred hand. Burn it, boys. 100 torches ignite at once. Blue-white arcs dance along the keel like lightning frozen in place. The smell of burning flux rolls over the yard in a choking wave. By 9 a.m. the entire keel, 441 feet of it, is laid end-to-end in perfect line. Normally that alone takes 5 days. By noon the double-bottom sections, those upside-down monsters Woodley dreamed up, are rolling in on flat cars. Each one weighs more than a destroyer. Cranes that used to lift 20 tons now grown under 90, and the men move like they're possessed. Welders work in rotating 4-hour shifts so hot the rods never cool. Helpers with buckets of water follow them, splashing faces and wrists to keep skin from blistering. Coffee flows in rivers. Sandwiches appear by the crate. Nobody knows who paid for them. Nobody cares. At 3:12 p.m. the first real scare hits. The stern section, the giant, upside-down cathedral of steel built 3 weeks ago on pad 4, is being lifted for mating. Halfway up, a lifting lug shears. 90 tons of ship hangs drunkenly from 3 cables instead of 4. The yard goes dead quiet. One cable starts to sing. That high, terrible note steel makes right before it lets go. Woodley is 50 yards away. He sprints, boots slipping on wet plates, screaming, "Slack 2! Slack 2! God damn it!" The crane operator dumps power to the number 2 winch. The load tilts violently, then settles. The singing stops. Every man watching lets out the breath he didn't know he was holding. Woodley reaches the base of the crane, chest heaving, and looks up at the operator. "Nice driving, cowboy." The operator just nods, white as paper. They lower the section, weld a new lug in 27 minutes flat, and lift again. This time it mates perfectly. By sunset the hull is already taking shape. A skeleton rising out of the ways so fast it looks like time-lapse photography. Darkness falls, but the floodlights kick on brighter than ever. Glenn Miller is replaced by Benny Goodman. Somebody spikes the coffee with bourbon, for medicinal purposes. At 11:47 p.m. the final keel seam is closed. 24 hours after the first plate dropped, the Liberty ship has a complete bottom. In any other yard on Earth that would be week 6. Woodley climbs down from the hull, legs shaking from exhaustion. A newsreelman shoves a microphone in his face. "Mr. Woodley, do you really think you can launch her in 4 days?" Woodley wipes blood and flux from his lip, where a chunk of hot scale caught him earlier. "Mister," he says, voice raw, "we already did day 1. The rest is just details." Then he looks straight into the camera, and for the first time the whole country will hear the sentence burning in every man's chest tonight. "This one's for the boys freezing in the Murmansk runs. We're not building a ship, we're building time. And we just stole 24 hours back from Hitler himself." Behind him, the skeleton of SS Robert E. Peary glows white-hot under 1,000,000 watts of light. Day 2 starts in exactly 13 minutes, and somewhere out in the Pacific, a convoy is sailing without escort because there aren't enough hulls in the water yet. The welders don't need another speech. They just light their torches and go back to war. Day 2, the hull rises and the world starts to believe. November 16, 1942, 12:01 a.m. The temperature drops to 36 degrees. Breath hangs in the floodlights like smoke from 1,000 cigarettes. The hull of SS Robert E. Peary now looks like the ribcage of some ancient steel leviathan, glowing red along every new weld. Richard Woodley hasn't sat down in 36 hours. His eyes are bloodshot slits, but they burn brighter than any torch in the yard. At 12:47 a.m. the first side shell unit, an entire 400-ton wall of steel prefabricated weeks ago, swings in from the storage field. It's taller than a 5-story building. Men on the ground look like ants as it passes overhead. The mating has to be perfect to within 1/8 of an inch. Woodley stands on the center line with a carpenter's level in one hand and a bullhorn in the other. No blueprints now. He knows every plate by heart. 2 inches left. Easy. Kiss it. Don't ram it. The massive section settles into place with a clang that echoes across the bay. A cheer erupts so loud it rattles windows in Berkeley. By 4 a.m. both port and starboard sides are married to the bottom. The ship now has a recognizable shape. From the hill above the yard she looks like a ghost ship rising out of the ground. Reporters are losing their minds. Western Union lines are melting. One wire to Washington reads simply, "Day 2, hull closed. Impossible is happening. Send more film." At 7:30 a.m. Henry Kaiser arrives with Eleanor Roosevelt on his arm. The First Lady is bundled in a navy coat, eyes wide. She has come to boost morale, but right now she's the one getting boosted. Kaiser leads her up the gangway to the main deck level. There is no deck yet, just open girders. She steps carefully between red-hot rivets and looks down the length of the ship.